I love my wife and I'm not gay and I'm not, and that's what's weird about this, to have your sexuality question and your moral fiber question and all that, when all I was doing was trying to be nice to somebody.
Eddie Murphy tells E.T. that his wife and children were out of town, says he wanted something to read and went to a late-night newsstand. He stopped here and picked up the suspected transsexual at 4:45 in the morning.
And they went, what? Drag queen goes to bed with Eddie Murphy?
That's right.
He's straight. I went, oh, please. Give me more.
Has he been with Eddie
Murphy? Me?
Yeah. I'm not sorry.
The internet's going crazy right now. People are saying Eddie Murphy might have gotten away with something serious. A clip just leaked from 1997 showing Eddie with a trans woman named Shalimar just before she died under some shady circumstances. Shalimar was a big name in LA's underground scene back then, and folks have been whispering about this for years. Now it's blowing up again because new footage just dropped of Eddie and Shalimar together, and it's looking real suspicious. But wait, it gets even messier.
You got big-time celebrities that go around in their cars picking up trans, having sex with them, and then getting on national TV making fun of them. Our whole world is being run by undercover fags that run around talking about how straight they are.
More old, grainy videos just came out showing other trans women who were also working at the time. They're saying Eddie and other Hollywood men paid them to stay quiet. And here's where it takes a wild turn. A new theory is going around claiming there's something deeper behind all this. People are saying some Hollywood stars, like Eddie, got more trans kids than usual, and that it might not be random. Just this month, it came out that Eddie and Mel B's daughter Angel now lives as a trans man. While some call it coincidence, others swear it's all connected. Some folks believe celebs are making secret deals, letting their kid transition in return for silence or protection from something in their past. And now, with these old tapes, claims of hush money and Shalimar's death popping up again, it's got people thinking Eddie's secrets might finally be coming to light. Stick around, because this whole thing just keeps getting darker.
Police say he is guilty of no misconduct, but there was a warrant out for the alleged prostitute. A judge has ordered that man, 20-year-old Addison Ciuli, to serve 90 days in jail.
Police might have said Eddie didn't do anything illegal, but let's not ignore the facts. There was a warrant out for the woman involved, a 20-year-old named Addison Ollie, who ended up getting sentenced to 90 days in jail. Now a whole stack of old receipts is coming out, interviews, throwback clips, and old tabloid headlines, all digging into Eddie Murphy's long and messy history with picking up trans women. One of the wildest stories to pop back up is an interview with the late trans actress Holly Woodlawn. Back in the early 80s, Holly sold a bombshell story to the National Enquirer, claiming she had an encounter with Eddie.
And they went, what? Drag queen goes to bed with Eddie Murphy?
That's right.
He's straight. I went, oh, please. Give me more.
Said you
Wait a
looked
minute.
really good. Good.
What do you think he was doing? What do you think the situation was? Let me hear your scenario.
Oh, not only Eddie Murphy,
Many others. I know a lot of girls.
That
I know a lot of girls
douchebag.
he's been with.
Yeah.
What's the other? Eddie Murphy got arrested with a transvestite type transsexual prostitute. I mean, well, goody. That means she's gonna make some money, and he gets what he deserves.
Good.
That's all.
Good.
Yeah, that made him even a bigger star.
Yeah, and the poor little girl that's like crawling streets at 4 o'clock in the morning.
And right after that article dropped, she filmed a video interview where she spilled everything. Eddie didn't stay quiet though. He sued Holly and a few others for defamation, but out of nowhere, that lawsuit just disappeared. In that interview, Holly even laughed at the idea that Eddie was straight, which was his defense after being caught picking up another trans woman on Santa Monica Boulevard. She also low-key hinted that she'd hooked up with him at one point, messy, and then Holly dropped another clue. She mentioned a trans street worker out at 4 a.m. who got picked up by Eddie. Guess who she was talking about? Shalimar.
Living,
Like
it's
Divine.
Like what's his name?
Divine Brown.
Divine Brown. She made a lot of money.
Yeah.
He should go right to all of the
So you
papers.
could get the same thing. It could be the same kind of thing.
But I don't want that.
But
I
you're
don't
gonna
need it. I don't need.
She doesn't need the money.
Hollywood Lawn is
She doesn't need the money.
Just the dirt and tell she's been to bed with Eddie Murphy. And who else have you been to bed with?
In bed with
Has he been with Eddie?
Murphy? Me?
Yeah. I'm not
Now,
trying.
be honest, Hollywood Lawn. Now, be
My
honest
lips
with
are
me. Look
sick.
at me, girl. Look at me careful. Now, did you been to bed with some of these stars in Hollywood now? You know
She
you
in my
have.
lane.
I have been
She has
there
too.
been a lot of sleazy
Like
things.
sleazy. But
Yup. And just recently, another old paparazzi clip popped up clear as day, showing the exact moment Eddie got pulled over by cops with 20-year-old trans adult worker Shalimar sitting right there in the passenger seat. This ain't looking good at all. Here's how it all went down. Shalimar Suley was a Samoan-born trans woman who once held the title of Miss Island Queen back in 1993. She had dreams of becoming a fashion designer and even moved to Los Angeles to chase that life. But when that didn't work out, she ended up working the streets of Santa Monica Boulevard. And after a while, the LAPD knew her by name. So on May 2nd, 1997, everything took a sharp turn. Police were already keeping tabs on Shalimar when they saw her hop into Eddie Murphy's SUV. Just minutes later, they pulled the car over. Cops questioned Eddie for a full 30 minutes, and Eddie told them he was just giving Shalimar a ride home. He also claimed he didn't know she was biologically male. Eddie ended up being let go, but Shalimar wasn't so lucky. She was arrested on an outstanding warrant by the LAPD. That one traffic stop turned into a media firestorm. Her connection with Eddie sparked nationwide headlines, and paparazzi swarmed her as she was moved from jail to court hearings like she was a celebrity herself. Meanwhile, Eddie hit full damage control mode. He turned on the charm, spoke to the press, and tried to flip the story. He told reporters he was just being a good Samaritan, someone who looks out for folks in rough situations. Eddie even held an impromptu news conference while filming a movie where he said this: Murphy claims he's stopped many times to help prostitutes, saying he's always tried to be a helping hand when he sees someone in need.
Murphy has a run-in with the law this morning. In this case, it involves a transvestite prostitute. Reporter Juan Fernandez is live in Hollywood, California with the latest for us tonight. Juan?
Well, Al, when Eddie Murphy picked up this Hollywood hooker, he had no idea that right behind him were a pair of vice cops.
Deputies conducted a traffic stop of the car a few blocks away, at which time they learned that the driver was actor Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy was let go. Police say up to that point, nothing illegal had happened. But 20-year-old Addison Ciuli was cuffed and hauled away. A warrant was already out for his arrest.
And on May 29th, Judge Barry Taylor issued a warrant in the amount of $15,000 for his arrest and revoked his probation. He was brought to court today on that warrant.
But Eddie's version of events, it got even wilder after that. Once the whole thing hit the news, Eddie sat down with Entertainment Tonight and straight up claimed that he was out at 4 a.m. because he was looking for a book to read. That's right. According to him, he was cruising around the Hollywood Strip before sunrise, trying to find some reading material. At the time, his wife, Nicole Mitchell, was out of the country, and Eddie said he just felt like stepping out to grab something to read. Sounds innocent, right? Except none of it made sense. Eddie told E.T. that since his wife and kids were out of town, he went to a late-night newsstand to find a book. And somewhere along the way, he stopped his car and picked up a distraught woman who just happened to be a known trans adult worker at 4:45 a.m.
I love my wife, and I'm not gay, and I'm not, and that's what's weird about this, to have your sexuality question and your moral fiber question and all that, when all I was doing was trying to be nice to somebody.
Eddie Murphy tells E.T. that his wife and children were out of town, says he wanted something to read and went to a late-night newsstand. He stopped here and picked up the suspected transsexual at 4:45 in the morning. He says he thought he was aiding a distraught woman.
Looks like a pretty Hawaiian girl in the corner crying. It looks like she was crying. She goes, "Oh, Eddie Murphy." She noticed him at the light. She recognized Eddie Murphy. Oh, my God. So I go, "What are you doing? Why are you out here working the streets so late?" She goes, "Oh, I'm on my way home. Can you give me a ride home?"
Now, people didn't buy that story back then, and with all these new clips, interviews, and resurfaced receipts, It sounds even more ridiculous today. Even Pimpin' Ken chimed in during his appearance on Real Life Productions, saying flat out, Eddie knows nobody believes he was out there looking for a book.
A clip of Eddie Murphy right now is going viral of him back in the 90s talking about how his wife and kids left the house. He woke up at 4 a.m. and wanted to go find a book to read and end up picking up a transvestite. And he felt sorry for the transvestite, so he wanted to give the transvestite a ride home because the transvestite was crying, on a wall. He told that story to the media and they clapped, and this is going viral right now. Do you believe Eddie Murphy was going to find a book to read at 4 a.m. with his wife gone out overseas? Man, I mean, just from your experience.
Eddie Murphy, that's bullshit. I'm Eddie Murphy. I watch all this movie, man, but man, you don't accidentally pick up a transvestite. You know what I'm saying? That ain't happening, man. You know what I'm saying?
He made it clear that the public saw right through that excuse.
It did. First of all, man, you know what I'm saying?
Right around.
You know what I'm saying? All the money he got, man, why would you be on the strip picking up a transvestite, whatever you call it? You know what I'm saying? I don't believe it. I think it's bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Eddie Murphy, but to me, that's some straight bullshit. Man, listen, man, you know what I'm saying? If I pick up, if I see a man, he dressed like a woman, and I see him, I'm not gonna feel sorry for him because
he was trying to be a good Samaritan.
But suppose he could be a robber. He might not be a real transvestite. I mean, he could be setting you up. A lot of dudes dress like women and they put makeup on and all that stuff, and they robbing these tricks out here.
But here's where things take a dark turn. Almost exactly 1 year after her infamous run-in with Eddie, tragedy struck. On the morning of April 22nd, 1998, a dog walker discovered Shalimar Suli's lifeless body on the sidewalk right outside her apartment in Koreatown, Los Angeles. Police said Shalimar fell from the 5th floor and died from head injuries. The autopsy showed no drugs or alcohol in her system, and her death was ruled an accident. But here's where it gets real sketchy. The coroner's report noted that a neighbor heard someone scream around 5 a.m., right when Shalimar was believed to have died. That one detail had a lot of people questioning the whole thing. Some started wondering, was it really a fall, or did someone push her? Shalimar's friends and family weren't buying the official story at all. One of her close friends, a drag queen named Viva, told a reporter from The Village Voice, "Unfortunately, the cops don't want to investigate. To them, it's just another hooker. Chilling." Viva swore there was no way Shalimar slipped by accident. She even asked, why haven't the cops looked into these things? And it didn't stop there. Girls who used to work the streets with Shalimar said she'd been getting threats ever since the Eddie Murphy incident. Strangers would walk up to her and tell her to keep quiet. Her own brother David spoke to Globe magazine and revealed Shalimar had become extremely paranoid. She truly believed a hitman was following her, and just hearing Eddie Murphy's name would send her into full panic. Things got so tense that she kept changing locations just to avoid whoever she thought was tracking her. And here's the real bombshell. There were whispers that Shalimar was planning to sell her story and expose not just Eddie, but a whole list of Hollywood men who were allegedly known for picking up trans street workers. Now that's the part that has people raising major questions. While she was locked up, Shalimar had already spoken to the National Enquirer, and the money she got from that interview, it went straight toward posting her bail. In that interview, Shalimar completely shut down Eddie's version of the story. She called it bogus and claimed he definitely had other intentions when he picked her up. She also made it clear that the spot on Santa Monica where it all happened was a well-known hangout for trans street workers. Anybody cruising through there at 4 a.m., they knew exactly what they were doing.
First of all, how I met my first transgendered person who had claimed she had been with Eddie Murphy in the past was I literally went to a bar that was, I can't remember the name of it. It was on Yucca, just south of Hollywood Boulevard, by that newsstand, World News, where Eddie had stopped that night. Yes. And I sat at the bar. One night goes by. I'm friends with the bartender now. I'm tipping him well. I'm talking to him, and he finally got me to one of the women, and she said, "Oh yeah, Yeah, I've been with Eddie. He likes, he has a foot fetish, and also Colonel Candy has been with him, and so and so and so and so.
According to Shalimar, the only reason Eddie didn't get hit with a solicitation charge that night was because he was famous. She told the Inquirer, "It's unfair. I went to jail while Eddie Murphy walked away scot-free." But that was only the beginning. Once Shalimar's story caught fire, dozens of other trans women started coming forward, sharing their own run-ins with Eddie Murphy. Eddie didn't sit back. He fired off million-dollar lawsuits against the Globe, the National Enquirer, and even the New York Times, claiming they were spreading false info about him. But here's the strange part. Every single one of those lawsuits got quietly dropped or settled out of court. And let's not forget, this all hit while Eddie was trying to make a comeback after a string of box office flops. The timing couldn't have been worse. Some lawyers from those tabloids even believed Eddie backed off because he was scared more women would come forward if the cases went to trial. But Eddie wasn't done. He brought in big guns. Attorney Marty Singer and Hollywood fixer Paul Baresi were hired to hunt down trans women he'd been in contact with and offer them payouts to stay quiet and take their stories back. Baresi got busy fast. He tracked down those women and had them sign affidavits and film videos saying their original claims weren't true. But here's the kicker. Investigative journalist Mark Ebner later revealed that one of the trans workers actually showed him IRS paperwork proving she got paid $15,000 by Marty Singer's law firm to walk back her story about hooking up with Eddie.
I went and I said, "So what's the deal?" And she said, "Well, the deal is that Eddie Murphy's lawyer, Marty Singer, who's in the news these days for other things, basically I told my story to the tabloids, and he paid me $15,000 to change my story." And I said, "Well, interesting. Okay, can you prove that?" This woman kept records, and she handed me a check and her IRS, everything. She had everything. And it was signed by Marty Singer.
For years after that, Eddie did everything in his power to bury the scandal. His PR team went into overdrive, yanking interviews, scrubbing news clips, and trying to wipe the internet clean of anything tied to the Shalimar situation. But guess what? The receipts are creeping back up, and one of the biggest ones sparking new convo is a powerful old interview with the late Octavia St. Laurent, a legendary trans icon in the ballroom scene. In the clip, Octavia goes off on Hollywood, calling it full of down-low men who bash the LGBTQ+ community in public while secretly hiding their own truths behind the scenes. She never dropped Eddie's name directly, but come on, it was clear who she meant. Octavia even mentioned the Shalimar incident, and she referenced Eddie's movie Boomerang, the same film where he mocked trans women on screen. That detail right there had folks side-eyeing Eddie all over again. Octavia Street Laurent never held back. She spoke loud and clear about how a lot of Hollywood men were out here secretly paying gay men and trans women for services, then turning around and acting openly homophobic and anti-trans in public.
Got big-time celebrities that go around in their cars picking up trans, having sex with them, and then getting on national TV making fun of them. Everything you do in life is like a boomerang. When you throw it, it eventually comes back.
She called them out for being two-faced, living double lives while trying to protect their image. She also pointed out how these down-low types love hiding behind the ladies' man look, having kids with multiple women just to keep up the act. And some, they take all that inner shame and frustration out on the women they date. Look at Diddy, a perfect example of that twisted cycle. And when it came to Eddie, after that scandal about picking up trans street workers hit the press, it felt like he went into overdrive trying to prove his straight image. He started stepping out with woman after woman, constantly being seen with new girlfriends. And now, Eddie's got 10 kids with 5 different women. But here's where things take a whole new turn, and it's got people talking again. It just came out recently that one of Eddie's daughters, 18-year-old Angel, whose mother is Spice Girl Mel B, now identifies as a trans man. Angel, who was assigned female at birth, quietly changed the bio on Instagram and publicly stated they want to be referred to as he, him. And after that news broke, fans started bringing up a long-running rumor about Hollywood that some celebs supposedly make deals to raise at least one of their kids as trans as part of some deeper industry arrangement. Now, some folks brush it all off as just another conspiracy, but others, they're convinced there's way more going on behind the scenes. People are pointing out that way more celebrities have trans kids compared to the general public, and they don't think that's just by chance. Even Cat Williams recently spoke on it, saying he called this trend years ago, claiming Hollywood was moving in a direction where this would become more and more common, but that's not all. Cat even hinted there might be some ritualistic, maybe even satanic element behind it, something deeper, tied to power, fame, and protection in the industry.
That's how you understand what a ritual is. So 20 years ago, I knew that transgenders was going to be a thing. It wasn't because I was a prophet. It's just I had gotten so much information that I understood that things are secular. So I understood that the earliest I had seen that word transgender was Baphomet, the transgender. And so I knew that in the ritual of Baphomet, the transgender, to show allegiance to him, you had to kiss his ass ring.
Really?
And it said both of those things. So I knew that both of those things will become popular in the future.
Now, whether or not you believe in all that, the timing is definitely raising eyebrows. From Eddie Murphy's past scandal to the sketchy, unexplained death of Shalimar, and now this big news about his daughter Angel coming out as a trans man. But we want to hear from you. Do you think there's a hidden agenda happening in Hollywood? Was Shalimar's death just a tragic fall? Or was someone trying to shut her up before she could expose the wrong people? And what do you make of this whole theory about celebs allegedly signing deals to raise at least one of their kids as trans? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss what we're spilling next. And trust, you're gonna want to stick around for the next video because it gets even crazier. See you in the next one.